Did you work at Charlie Munger's law firm?
I did. Yeah, actually, I have one story about him. I was working on a transaction. I was a young lawyer. I think this was kind of lawyer hazing.
Welcome to a new episode of the Opening Bid Unfiltered podcast. I'm Yahoo Finance executive editor Brian Sozzi. Like I always say, this podcast will make you a smarter investor and it will make you a smarter leader. We're going to lean into both of those here today with Dennis Woodside, the CEO of Freshworks. Dennis, good to see you. I haven't seen you in 8 years. We were at the NASDAQ talking Dropbox when you worked there, man. Like, where the hell is time gone?
I know. That's what we were saying. There was no AI back then.
There was no AI.
No one knew what AI meant.
No agents. Yeah, AI was like things you saw like
agents.
cartoons or something, like a sci-fi horror film. But
That's
good
right.
to see. Good to see you, man. You still doing Ironmans?
I am. I did Ironman California in October.
Holy, how do you find time to? How do you even
Getting harder.
How are you doing
man.
this? How are you doing this?
It's getting harder. It's good to have a goal. You know, it's good to have something that you got to focus on, keep me in shape, and keep me out of trouble.
How do you? We're going to go into, of course, Freshworks because I'm sure a lot of folks are interested in what you're working there tech-wise. But like I was telling you off camera, I'm getting ready to do my first high rocks. I'm pumped. I've been training for this thing for 2 years. I should have did it last year. I was ready, but this year I'm pulling the trigger on it. Like, how do you get ready for an Ironman? I think that is different level compared to what I'm about to embark on a high rocks.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's so cool that you're doing that.
Thanks.
I've done the Ironman 18 times, and typically I'll do one a year, and it's very clarifying because you like a Hydrox event, you have to be ready. You can't fake it. So for me, that creates a tremendous degree of focus, especially over the course of the summer, where it's work and it's training. And my kids are grown, so I don't have to worry about them the way I did when they were little. And I just get focused on it because it's something I enjoy. I like. I'm reasonably good at it. So when you like stuff, when you're good at stuff, you kind of like doing it. And I just find that focus of having that single event a year really gets me going.
Well, now I'm just asking for like training hacks. Like, is there certain foods that you cut out? Like, what is your prep? And then like even that outside, like, what is your mental prep for something like that?
Well, you have to, I'm sure you're doing this. You have to be training pretty much all the time. You ramp down in the winter, do other stuff in the winter. But when you're within that like 3 to 4 month window, it's swim, bike, run every day. And I schedule it like I schedule any other meeting. And I build throughout the course of the year to the point where in August I'm doing like 18-hour weeks, which is a lot of time. Most of my weekends are spent on the bike or running or swimming. So for me, it's just having that structure, thinking of it as another investment that I'm making in myself, but I have to schedule it, I have to calendar it, I have to take it seriously.
Nah, I mean 18. That's a lot of Ironmans. I didn't know you were up to that many now. Like, what made you even get into it?
I was a rower in college, and you can't really row after college. And I actually joined the Stanford cycling team. My first 2 races, I crashed. I'm like, this is a terrible sport for me. Triathlon, you don't like bike with other people around. You're not in a pack, so that seemed like an easier thing to go do. So that's how I got into it. And then it's kind of waned up and down as my kids were younger. It was harder to do. I didn't really do as many races. And then over the last 10 years, I've been pretty consistent with it.
It's just amazing. I love hearing these stories. Do anyone else in your team do these, or is it just you?
We do have a couple people in the company who I see at the races that and then we have quite a few people who do shorter races. But Ironman, I'm aware of one of our sales reps who did the California race, actually the same one I did.
I'm asking you all this because now you are, of course, like one of the fittest people I know in terms of like leaders. I mean, I have Max Levchin, my buddy, over at a firm. He is he's a hardcore cyclist. I've got Todd McKinnon, the CEO of Okta. I mean, he's still competing in over 50 CrossFit games.
CrossFit. He's like, I think, ranked in the top 3. He's serious. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. But like, how does that translate into like leadership life? Like, I mean, I imagine, discipline. I mean, it's amazing.
A lot of it is, yeah. You have to have a plan, and you have to have the discipline to think about what's the goal, where do you want to wind up in 6 or 9 months. How do you back into that? What does your build need to look like? It's really just having that kind of plan, and then being ready to go through hard times when you're not feeling great. You don't want to really work out. Something's got. I can't tell you how many times I start my workout and I'm like, I don't really feel like doing this. But you kind of mentally decide that you're going to do it, and over time that repeated kind of effort builds on itself, and then you're ready to race. And so especially as I get older, like I also recognize I'm not gonna be able to do this forever. So
Yeah, like
those
what are you gonna
moments become
do?
more
Like
special.
what are you gonna do? Like what are we gonna do? We can't train like this.
I've got a whole list of things, man. I'm telling you right now, from kite surfing to skiing, a bunch of stuff. But yeah,
I was looking back to when we first talked like 8 years ago. I don't know where time has gone, but I never got to ask you like where you started your career. Did you work at Charlie Munger's law firm?
I did. Yeah. So I'm trained as a lawyer, and I worked in New York for a year for a federal judge, and then I worked for a couple years at Munger, Tolson Olson, which is a law firm in Southern California, and they do a lot of the work for Berkshire Hathaway, which was fascinating. So
Did
I
you
got
ever did
started there.
you ever see him?
My yeah, actually, I have one story about him. I was working on a transaction. I was a young lawyer. I think this was kind of lawyer hazing, and one of the partners said, "Hey, can you take this agreement down? We need his signature. He's on the board of Berkshire as a director. We need his signature." So I went down to his office, and I had this agreement that was like this thick, and I thought he was just going to sign it. But he says, "Sit down," and so I sit down, and he starts reading page by page, and he's reading this agreement for literally an hour, says nothing, and then he says something like, "What do you think of clause 5A? Is that the right way to write this?" And I said, "Well, actually, I didn't read it." He's like, "What?"
Wrong
Go
answer.
back. Wrong answer. Go back, read it, come back. So that was like my learning that you always have to be prepared. You always have to be prepared. But
Um,
that
yeah,
that's
no,
how I got started.
that is absolutely amazing. You never know where your career will take you. But to talk to me a little bit about, you spent your whole career really in tech after lawyer life. I mean, what Google? I met you first at Dropbox. Now you're at Freshworks. Like what's the through line with all these? Like, how did you end up deciding that Freshworks is where you need to go? And even Impossible Foods, you spent time there
Well,
too.
I like, first of all, I like companies with big visions and companies that offer a real challenge, that are in that growth stage where it's not all clear. Like when I joined Google, there were 1,000 people. It wasn't all clear that Google was going to become Google. But I like that because there's a lot of problem solving in that kind of a situation. You're thinking from first principles. You're thinking about how do you drive the growth of this business. I've always been in positions primarily on the go-to-market side that put me in a position to really affect the outcome. So that's been really important to me. I think with Impossible Foods, there was a big vision around changing the way people eat and changing the way they consume meat. With Freshworks, it's really changing the way enterprises, and in particular in the mid market, buy software and what they should expect from software. Our core customer at Freshworks is a company of around 5,000 people. It's not a mega enterprise, but it's also not a small business. So think of a company like Vermeer Industries. They make trenchers and wood chippers. They've been doing that for 100 years. They're based in Iowa. Or New Balance. They've been around a long time, obviously making shoes. Big brand, but there's only 5,000 people in the company. So they need the same enterprise grade software to manage their IT operations and their customer support operations. It needs to be AI enabled, but it also needs to be easy for them to get up and running, easy to use, and lower cost overall. That's what we do. So I think there's a huge business opportunity for us here, and that's what attracted me. That growth, we're moving from the company was born in India, and now our customers are truly global. We have 45% of our businesses in the US and 40% in Europe. So that challenge of transforming the business, taking it from where it is to a multi-billion-dollar company, that is really what gets me excited, and that's what I've loved doing with my career.
Somewhat related. Well, maybe not related at all. I'm surprised what happened in plant-based food. I know the Beyond team well. I got to know the Impossible team well. Like, they were just trying to change the world. And I don't know if the world just wasn't ready for plant-based foods or what.
It's hard to change consumer behavior. It takes a long time. Now, those companies, I can speak for Impossible, has been quite successful in driving, distribution in thousands of outlets, Walmart, and you can pretty much get it anywhere now. That's a big accomplishment. So I think in the long run, you're going to see success there. It's a hard task to change consumer behavior. It takes time.
For those not familiar with Freshworks, like what does someone get if they use your service?
So we support two teams, customer support and IT. And every company in the world needs to automate the operations of those two teams. Every company pretty much has a customer support and an IT team. Now they need to bring AI into the mix. They need AI to help them answer questions faster, be more accurate with their answers, be available 24/7, be available in any language. That's something that, especially in the mid market, those companies couldn't do in the past. You couldn't support multiple languages, just didn't have the size or scale, couldn't be open 24/7. So that's what we do. And the opportunity is huge because all of the companies that we work with, they're either trying to grow much faster, or they're trying to reduce costs and be more profitable. AI absolutely helps them do that in both the IT department and the support department. And we're really super early in the whole AI adoption. We have over 6,000 customers that are paying for our AI solutions now. We help our customers answer questions directly from their employees or from their customers using AI. We help the agents in those customers answer more effectively and more accurately and faster. So if you imagine you're at Vermeer and an employee has a question about a piece of software, they probably are running over 1,000 pieces of software. The AI can actually answer the question for them. You don't necessarily need a human. And then we have AI that helps the manager do their job better as well. So we've built a broad set of AI capabilities on top of our systems of record that have, at this point, 15 years of data from 75,000 customers. And that's the opportunity for us. That's what we're excited about.
How would you compare this moment in AI to when there were under 1,000 employees at Google?
I think the comparison is a little bit later on when Google had to mature, and we were I want to say it was 19 or 2008 when the financial crisis hit, and the growth stopped literally for everybody because you could just stop your AdWords budget, and we had to transition, and we had to really move to a different model, different way of operating, more rigorous, more disciplined, more focused. That's when Google did things like acquired Android and started building out the Android ecosystem. It started Chrome. So a lot of innovation came out of that time. So I think we're in the same kind of position with AI. So AI now is changing every software company, as you know. We have a great position because we have the trust of 75,000 customers. We have the enterprise grade security and all the certifications you need. We have thousands of integrations with other systems that surround our customers. All of that's super critical for delivering AI that actually works for the customer in a way that is fast, right? We don't want to have to deploy forward engineers to do that. Our customers don't want forward engineers. They want software that's going to work. So I think it's that kind of a moment where every software company has to go through that transition, has to build those products, make sure that those products work, has to get those products into the hands of their customers. And that's a different level of focus and innovation than where we were in the past. I think that's the moment that we're in.
Look, you're leading a software company, Dennis. Like, from the outside looking in, all we seem to talk about in media land is how AI is going to destroy software companies, and now there's big companies that may not be around in 5 years, and we've seen billions of dollars in market cap wiped away. I mean, as CEO leading a software company, are you scared about AI?
No, I think it's a huge opportunity for us. I mean, the arguments that you hear are really threefold. The first is that the customers are going to are going to basically code their own, right? That they're going to vibe code their way into a system. I'll tell you, we've been building our software for 15 years. We know, we know this business incredibly well. It's If you think about all the requirements to build a system of record, like what we call IT service management, ITSM, or IT asset management, those are the categories that we're in. That's very, very hard. I haven't spoken to a single customer that says they're going to vibe code their way into an ITSM or software for their IT department. The second argument is that they're going to go direct to the LLMs, and the LLMs are going to supplant this underlying systems of record. I don't see that either, because the data that we've acquired over time is incredibly rich. We understand how 75,000 businesses operate, their workflows. We have the history of all their interaction with either their customers or their employees. So we can train AI in a way that an LLM certainly can't. And then the third argument you hear is, well, startups just going to ride on top. Everybody's going to go to a single agent that's going to help them do everything, either as an employee or as a customer. And again, I don't see that happening either, because you need the kind of knowledge that is embedded in these systems of record. So I think it's ours to lose. Like, we have to innovate. We have to innovate fast. But ultimately, our customers want to buy from the vendors that they trust. They don't necessarily want to go to a startup that hasn't built that kind of broad set of knowledge of their industry, their business. They don't want to go to the LLM, which is putting out a very generalized product. They want something that's specific to their team. And that's why I think we have a real right to win. You see the traction in our customer account. So we have 6,000 paying customers for AI today. We have a long way to go to get all 75,000, but all 75,000, I'll tell you right now, they will absolutely be using AI within the next couple of years. And so that's really where we're going. And I do think that I understand the meme out there and I understand there's disruption, but we're pretty confident in our position and where we're going to go, how we're going to innovate, and how we're going to win.
What are the risks of these AI agents? And I guess risks are different depending on who you talk to. I talked to CrowdStrike's founder, George Kurtz, and he's looking from the cybersecurity angle of all these agents running amok inside of companies, and they're just robots. How do you think about risks?
Well, I think that's again another reason why the systems of record like us have an advantage. So we built our systems with security, control, safety in mind, right? Think about role-based access control, which is embedded in all of our products. We understand the hierarchy of an organization, who can get access to which information, why. So when we build AI on top of that, it's that role-based access control is embedded in the AI or security, similar thing. That's just not true for a startup, right? And again, that's why we think we are in a good position to manage those risks, to help our customers manage those risks. We've been managing security risks for them for a long time. We've proven ourselves time and again to be reliable in that regard. And that's another advantage that we have when we're in a conversation with a company that's thinking about, going bigger in AI. So again, it comes back to, can we innovate as fast as these startups? And we're on a path to doing that, which is exciting for everybody here.
I was thinking back recently to what Spotify's new CEO said about their engineers are just coding with agents. You need humans, I guess, is what he was trying to say. Could you grow your business to the extent you want to grow it out with far less people?
Yeah, so we're using AI across every function, every team, from sales to recruiting, certainly engineering. So about 30% of our code now is originated with AI. 30% of the code that we shipped in December was started with AI. You still need smart engineers that understand the existing system of record. AI is not great at understanding a very complex piece of software. AI isn't great at understanding the second order impacts of making changes to that software. You certainly have to make sure that any code you ship doesn't break integrations that your customers have or break workflows that your customers have. The testing process has to be very pronounced. It can be AI assisted, but you're gonna have a human in the loop. Also, the creativity has to come from humans. The conversations with customers and the learnings of what do we build next? What are customers looking for? That all also comes from humans. Now, the humans can go back and they can use tools like Figma to mock up what they're thinking in their Figma's AI module. They can use Lovable to do a prototype. That's where the impact comes. That's where the productivity comes. The way we're thinking about staffing, because we're growing the business, we grew the business 16% last year, and that EX business is growing faster, about 22%. We're continuing to invest in our teams. We want those teams to be AI first. We want them to, the first question they should ask is, can I do this with AI? But we need smart people who understand structure, who are creative, who understand systems, who understand customers. All that's super important for us. So we're continuing to hire. We're not hiring at the same rate as we did, let's say, 5 years ago. But we continue to need those people who are going to help us ship product that our customers love. And the way we're thinking about the opportunity overall is we can ship faster code, better code. We can innovate faster. We can advance our roadmap. And so far, that's proven to be true. Rather than cutting people, we're just going to move faster. We're going to innovate faster.
I'm really of the view, Dennis, that AI is going to have a profound impact on this labor market of this country. Where do you fall in that debate?
Well, I can tell you what I see from our customers. So we have some customers who are under a lot of cost pressure, and they are looking at AI as a way of reducing cost, right? Of taking cost out, particularly on the customer support side, of having a team with fewer reps. We have other customers who are growing fast, and their view is, we're just not going to hire as many people because we have AI. We have a third group who are saying, look, I've got talented people in my IT team. I have more IT projects than I can handle. I'm going to upskill them and I'm going to have them do more interesting work. And I think that's where a lot of our customers are going to wind up. If you've invested in an IT agent or a customer support agent and they understand your products, they understand your environment, that's a very valuable asset. And there's always higher level work that you can do. So what we've done, for example, most of our because we have 75,000 customers, we have a lot of customer queries ourselves every single day. A lot of that now is handled by AI. And the people we had that used to be answering those questions manually, they now are working on revenue generating activities. We put them into premium support roles. They're more proactive with customers. They're working with bigger customers. Our customers are doing the same thing. We have a customer called Big Bus Tours. They turned their customer support team, which was a cost center, into an upsell team. And now they're actually paying for themselves. So completely transform the attitude of the people in that team, the way they lead it, all because they can offload the rote stuff to AI. And I think that's where a lot of companies are going to go.
That's a good point. Lastly, Dennis, I would love to get your take on this. I was thinking back to some of the leaders you've really been on the ground floor of working with, of Sergey Brin, Larry Page at Google, Pat Brown at Impossible Foods, Drew Houston over at Dropbox. Like, put all these folks into a box. Like, what's the big leadership lesson you learned from all of them?
I think you learn different things from different leaders. I think Drew is very strategic in how he thinks about things. And if you think about Dropbox, it was competing against Google and Apple and Microsoft. So building a big business in that environment, you had to be super strategic
Yeah,
about how
didn't
you
Steve
built
Jobs want to
product.
buy Dropbox? I remember that. I remember that story floating
I
around.
wasn't there for that, so I
Yeah,
don't know.
I remember that.
But Google was all about understanding the future 10 years out and then reverse engineering. What do we do now? And to some degree, what Pat did at Impossible was kind of similar. So I try to take what I've learned from those leaders, and then what I am uniquely decent at, I suppose, is the operational side of things. Okay, what do we do this quarter, this month, this year? How do we make sure that we're making progress every single day against those goals? And then, I lean into what I've learned from those founders. Girish, who's the founder of Freshworks, very similar. Where I have to stretch is, how do I think about the world in 5 years? Where do we need to be in 5 years? How do we bring that back to what we're doing today? So, I've been privileged to be able to work in those environments. It's been a amazing journey, and Freshworks, I think, is the next step for me. It's been super exciting to be the CEO for a little under 2 years. There's been obviously been a lot of transformation in the industry and in the business. So, going to continue to drive our business forward and innovate in this AI first world.
Well, I wish you much success at Freshworks. I wish you much success in your next Ironman. It's good to see you still doing those, because that is awesome. And please, let's not wait 8 years to talk again. Dennis Woodside,
You got it.
Good to see you. I appreciate you coming on. Like I always say, hit us with those thumbs up on YouTube. Love all the feedback on the podcast platforms. Love the guest suggestions recently. All in all, it makes me better at doing these interviews. We'll talk to you soon.